Hey, I'm back. I'm going to get back into what's most important in my life. So it's a John Alite show for the people who don't know. Hit the subscribe button, comment, especially for this show. I'd like to hear comments from people, everyday people that understand what I'm going through, and a ton of families, unfortunately, in America. So I want to talk about fentanyl. And, I think everybody knows I lost my daughter. Uh, August 14th was her birthday. I spoke to her that night, wished her a happy birthday. We text back and forth. I made sure she was home. My grandson at the time, her baby was 5 years old. And the next day she woke up to get to the airport to see, come back. She lived with me, which was August 15th. And the baby was still sleeping. So she made a text or two to her girlfriends and took a Percocet and laid back down with the baby, not knowing it was laced with fentanyl. And she never woke up, never came home to me, and brought to the hospital. My best friend is Genti Toskesi, Dr. Genti Toskesi, a neurosurgeon. So that was the first person I called. He jumped in, started speaking to doctors, and I kept her on life support until August 18th at 8:34 a.m. And we pulled the plug. That easy, I lost my daughter. And so many Americans, families and kids, have lost their daughter and sons, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, because of greed of our politicians back then. And specifically, I'm talking about Mayorkas, Harris, that never went to the border, Joe Biden, was too busy being corrupt, in my opinion, around the world, and his administration with their crazy ideologies. So people want to know why I was so pro Donald Trump, President Trump, because I know, growing up in the street in my past, criminals when I see them. And I know that administration are criminals. Again, my opinion. But I know mobsters when I see them. I know greedy people when I see them. I know people that want power and manipulate to get it when I see it. And China was making $35 billion a year off exploiting America. And our corrupt regime government prior to President Trump don't care. They don't care when they hear numbers of 100, 200, 300,000 of kids from 18 to adults of 43 years of age that are losing lives like crazy, 10 times more than in these wars that Joe Biden and the military-industrial complex make billions off of. And just like the USA ID now use our money, our taxpayer money, and this is why President Trump is shutting it down and auditing what they're doing with the money, because they're taking our money and they're using it as slush fund money for themselves. It's play money. And they're sending it around the world. But then they'll tell me and family members of other people that lost their family members, their children, that we don't have money to fight against the fentanyl war. President Trump just told Mexico, Canada, and China, I'm going to tax you. And our corrupt media that nobody wants to listen to anymore because we know they're corrupt, even when they give poll numbers prior to the election. Everything they do and what they've done and weaponized our DOJ, our FBI, our CIA against the president and anybody that was affiliated with the president. They shadow banned guys like me and anybody that was campaigning for the president, right? Because they're making it sound like he's taxing them because this is a trade warfare. This is a drug warfare. No one has done anything about our kids dying. I got involved with Dee Gillen in talking to her, and I shouldn't say involved. I always use the word involved. But I go to all the events, or as many as I can, that she throws. It's called the Black Poster Project. And it's for families that lost family members to opioids. And I went to CNN with the Dr. Toskezi, and I went down to Kensington, for the people who don't know, and I got involved in a documentary there because of the drug zones there and the kids that are dying like crazy. And I went to K&A Boxing, and I want to thank John that helps save lives down through the boxing, through the gym, and we did podcasts there. And we spoke to individuals, some really good kids there, and we spoke to some people that were really screwed up. And our government don't care. Just leave them there to die. And they want to give them drug-free zones where they can just get high until they die. That's their answer. But President Trump came in, just what he promised, like he did his last 4 years, followed through with all his promises. And our corrupt, again, I'm going to say, our corrupt Democratic Party, in my opinion, when you get Chuck Schumer going in and you're going to feel the raft, that's a threatening words to our president. When he said that, I think it was about a year ago, when they entice riots and they get in bed with guys like George Soros, who influences financially riots and violence and killing, and to go after our police department would defund them. These are all radical moves that are purposely, intentionally manipulating our young kids from the inner cities that don't understand the politics behind this. And they try to act like they care about them. At the same time, they're effing them. They're controlling all our major cities, the Democratic Party, for 40 years. They're destroying the inner city. You're putting them in jails. You're killing them. You're influencing them into crime, into violence. And then you're acting like you care about them. And you're dividing everybody. I watch what the president just did and the pressure he's putting on these countries to stop bringing drugs into our country and killing our kids. Why didn't anybody else do it? Why didn't Harris, Kamala, that you got these main media that run interference for them, where they just keep ruining our kids' lives and torturing our children and stealing our money and giving it to $175 billion to Ukraine. And Zelensky just said, I only got $75 billion. Where's the other $100 billion? Elon Musk was hired by Trump to find out where all this money is going. They're going crazy, right? That they're auditing their money. Well, they should be. Do you see where some of that money is going? It's ridiculous. They're trying to see how fast shrimp run on a treadmill. They're sending money to Ireland and to every country. You're sending all this money, billions of dollars, and they'll tell you 1% they're sending of our budget. So people know that's about $75 billion when they say only 1%. And 98% of that money from the USAID goes to the Democratic Party. Any money, campaign money that they send was 98% to the Democratic Party. Of course they're going to cry about it because these people are running amok and stealing our money. But $75 billion should be going to our inner city, should be going to single moms, should be going to education, to the young kids, whether they're black, white, Spanish, Indian. Why is that money going to these other countries? And they're fighting our president now? What are you fighting about? He's trying to keep that money here in America to our neighborhoods. He's trying to keep his promise, what he said, that America comes first. So another family doesn't lose their daughter like I did. So you force Mexico to put 10,000 armed forces on the border so fentanyl can't come in, so terrorists can't come in, so atomic weapons can't come into our country, chemical weapons. Everything that the Biden administration has done has destroyed America, our kids, our family, our futures. When you have Canada, for the people that aren't educated, and Trudeau was praising Castro. He jailed truckers. He took their money out of their bank accounts. He forced vaccines. Does that sound like freedom to anybody? And for all the people that are either uneducated, unwilling, cower to the forced vaccines here in this country, the $1 trillion industry. I was a drug dealer at one time when I was younger. I know what it is. If I could force everybody to buy drugs from me, I get rich. That's what this government's doing. They're either forcing you to, giving you misinformation, lying to you, intimidating you, threaten to jail you, even threaten to come into our houses during Thanksgiving like the Gestapo did in Germany to make sure that you didn't have more than 5 people in your house. Imagine what they did to control Americans. Imagine what they do to divide Americans. Imagine what they're doing to allow all our kids every year, stadiums full of our children dying, 300 a day. I think it's more than that. People say 100 a day. Let's go with the low number, 100 a day. Yous are okay with that? Everybody's okay with that? Unfortunately, we just had a plane crash the other day with the Black Hawk helicopter. Why? Because of DEI. Are people out of their minds? Do you care who's flying your jet? I don't care what color he is. If he's black, he's Spanish, he's Indian, if he's white, who cares? As long as that plane is going to fly safely with our families on it, with our children on it. When this sick ideology is more important to them, ask every person in any neighborhood, do you care who's flying that plane as long as you're safe on that plane? We lost people that worked as traffic control in the airports, controlling the air traffic. You know why we lost them? Because they wouldn't hire them if they were white and educated. I don't care if they're green and educated. You fired because you wouldn't take a vaccine. Instead, you risked Americans' lives in the air. You risked those pilots' lives in the air. You risked the armed forces and the Black Hawk pilots in that air because you refuse. And I believe it was 11 traffic controllers that night in that one location that were light. This is incredible that they can even, and these arrogant media that are controlled by Big Pharma and the military industrial complex that control all this. This is about money. They don't care about that kid that's going to school. They don't care about my daughter. They don't blink an eye that it doesn't even register that I lost my daughter to any of them. They don't care. And if any of them say, well, look at the life you used to live. Yeah, I used to live 15 years ago. I changed my life 15 years ago, and I worked with every kid in every organization that I just named a handful. Colleges, I do talks to stay off the street, do the right thing, hustle in a correct way, be educated, be polite, keep yourself humble, love yourself, look in the mirror. My life is dedicated to somebody who's true to this country. People ask you why. And I travel the world, right? Everybody knows that. I just did a cover in a magazine in Italy. Why do you love the president the way you do? Why would you die for the president? Why? First off, anybody that knows the president, he's one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. He gives, and not forget about as a president, as a human being. He gives his shirt off his back. He talks to you like you're on his level. He doesn't talk to you any different. He doesn't talk to you downgrade. The way he moves around public, he just loves America. And people forgot what it was to love America because they're being taught and brainwashed to hate America. The same people that are running around rioting and looting and doing everything else with their country's flag. I love my country too. I love Albania. I'll never burn the American flag. I love this country. That's why we're all here. If you love your country that much, go back to it. No one's forcing you here. But then you're going to run around the streets? and try to ruin our country and burn our flag, I said it last time, she get 3 years in prison, maybe more, to burn that flag. If you don't like that flag enough that you burn it, go back to where you come from. But our president loves this country and made people feel pride and patriotic again. And that's why 70% of this country loves the president, voted for the president. And even now, till today, that crazy, sick ideology of the Democratic Party, all they're caring about is how they can stop him from showing us where the money is, our taxpayer money, what they're doing with it. They don't want to show us because their pay-for-play schemes are over. The president's back. And all that money they're taking out of your children's future, out of their hands, what they're doing with the money in these colleges are brainwashing our kids, not education. How about working in classes for a 5, 6-year-old, 7-year-old when your intellect is building, that you teach them confidence? Because at 5 years old, if you stop talking to them about sex, because they don't even know about sex, doesn't matter what sex they believe in when they get older. But at 5, 6, and 7 years old, it should be about confidence. It should be about family. It should be a love of this country. It should be for the appreciation of life. It should be about God. It should be the qualities that we all wish and we should all live by. And guys like me that didn't live that way until the last decade and a half. Hopefully not another kid goes that way. And that's what this should be about. And when people talk about our president, he risked his life for this country. They tried to kill him. And no, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I said this was going to happen prior to it happening. I said it was going to happen a second time prior to it happening. I said Iran was going to try to put a team together before anybody said anything. I said I knew COVID was nonsense before I found out. And people would say, well, people die from it. People die from a lot of things. But this was an intentional takeover. This was an intentional to disrupt our president. This was an intentional because they wanted globalism around the world. This was an intentional to control the public, just like Germany did, so they can weed out who they couldn't control and who they could control. This was a typical mafia move in a big, much bigger volume and atmosphere. You have these Schwabs and these Soros and these evil people, no different than Joe Biden, are just evil people that don't love God, don't love America, don't love our children, and they keep bent on trying to divide this country. And every young kid with a half a brain should understand it's only division. They want to make you divide. And every time you hear Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous words, right? Think about what he said. It's not about our skin color. It's about our character. Think about what Malcolm X said against the Democratic Party. And if you're anybody in any inner city, how can you possibly think they're okay when they want to take your money and house illegal immigrants and feed them, and they won't help you guys? They won't help you with opportunities, with schooling. And if they have 3,000 and 2,000 and Xboxes and money to give in apartments and airfare, why aren't they giving you extra money, welfare, to help you get off? Why aren't you helping a single mom? Why aren't they helping your health and your education? Or medicines, pharmaceuticals. Why are they charging so much money? Wake up. This is about control. This is about destroying. This is to make sure that you don't like him and he doesn't like you and she doesn't like that person. This is about just mentally effing you. Because the more they can confuse you, the more they can divide you, the more they try to control you. This is the first time in our history that someone's came in as president and is only looking out for the welfare of Americans. Look at the trade agreements with Mexico, China, Europe, the money that they owe us. And they take advantage of us. And finally, somebody's saying, what are we, stupid? You're gonna pay your fair share. Look at the World Health Organization, what they've done. Look what they've done with NATO. Look at the nonsense that they've done with our taxpayer money. And people are dying. There's school shootings on a regular basis. But we have no money for that. But you had enough money to let 15 million illegal immigrants in. And then you have these Democratic lying phonies like Chuck Schumer. I ask you, Chuck, how many of those illegal immigrants live in your house? How many are you paying for? When you brought them to Martha's Vineyard, Obama, how many did you let stay in your mansions? Doesn't people see what they're doing? How can you be this ignorant not to see? They intentionally allowed our kids to die from fentanyl for years now. We're at no movement. They didn't care. They didn't even go to the border. Look how fast, in 1 week's time, President Trump has got everything he said and more so he has done. And every time he salutes our American flag, our whole country loves him because everybody's learning, let's love America. Be patriotic for all the people that risk their lives for this country. Look at the leadership that he's put in. Look at the way they went after RFK. They wouldn't even give him security. They were hoping he'd get killed. You imagine the malice on these people because they didn't want him to expose what's going on with pharmaceutical in our food, our health, our children's future. Every time I think about I lost my daughter for nothing, just because of greed of this country, because they don't like this country. They don't love this country. They're sending our money around the world to protect other countries' borders. They're sending our money to Hamas for condoms. But letting our children die. While I sit here right now, there was 100 to 300 kids dying a day until Trump came in and he stopped it this fast. And you have trickle of deaths now. You have a trickle of people coming into this country illegal. And it just started. And the same thing with China. They're intentionally killing our kids. This isn't by accident. This is from within. This is something they discuss. This is warfare, drug warfare against our kids intentionally to destroy Americans. No different with TikTok. I love TikTok. I use TikTok. I had 100 million views last year. I don't want to see TikTok close. But if you're going to manipulate our kids, because what we have in TikTok here is not the same TikTok in China. Why is that? So when people don't wake up and say, why are we allowing them to buy our farmland? Just common sense, just like the president said, it's just common sense. And are people that ignorant to see what they've done to us? They have everybody brainwashed. It's amazing to me how fast the president could move because he wanted to, because he loves America, he loves this country. He loves he's wealthy. He doesn't need to worry about his kids. He can have private security for all of them for the rest of their lives and 10 more generations. He's doing it for us, for our neighborhoods, for our inner cities, for all the kids that don't have that. We don't have the ability to put walls around our houses and walk around with armed security the way Chuck Schumer does. Or AOC that tells you she cares about these kids and she's got 16 million in the bank. Well, you really care? Well, take 15.5 million because I don't know where you got it from. You were a bartender dancing on top of a bar. The same lying son of a whatever she was during COVID, but then she went to Florida dancing after she's forcing everybody in their house and masks on that they know didn't work. It was a joke. People are walking around drinking something, putting a mask on, drinking something, putting a mask on. It's unbelievable how easy people are to conform and that weak-minded. All they do is got to scare you a little bit and you comply. Our president has woke us up, and he woke up every country, and he put them on notice. You're no longer going to take advantage of our kids. You're no longer going to kill them with fentanyl. You're no longer going to do whatever you want while I'm here. And after he's in place for the next 4 years, and hopefully we have another president just like him for the next 8, and we get America back and make America great again, just what he says. I was at D.C. during his inauguration, and I never seen so many patriotic people in every race, color, creed. So when you watch this fake news and they talk about the president, and they still, till today, will never stop. They'll never stop weaponizing whatever they can against all of us because it's only about their money and their power. People like Chuck Schumer need to get out. Jeffries. Everything they do is counterproductive to what the American people want. They don't care what we want. The president cares what we want, but they don't care what we want. That's why they're still going after him. You have people that dedicate their lives to this country like Tulsi Gabbard, and they're fighting against her. Congress, what are you fighting against? It's what we want, the people. That's why we voted for Trump. That's why we voted for his presidency. That's why we all love him. Everybody would risk their lives for him. Because that's America. That's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about our future, our education, our kids, our safety of our kids. Every effing day I go to sleep without my daughter. I go to church because they took my baby. They left her with a son without a mother. That's what they did, not just to me, but to so many families. So many families, kids were killed unnecessarily. They were raped. They were murdered by people from other countries they knew were coming out of jails. And our lying regime of past, Biden, Mayorkas, and Harris, all of them were flying them in at night, spending our taxpayer money, flying them in and moving them around the country, and raping kids and child trafficking 300,000 kids that the president already found 75,000 of them. This is their idea of what? Opportunity? To who? For who? No identifications to vote? Tripled voting? All the fraud that they did in the last election? Zuckerberg did what he was pressured by the FBI? How about the CIA and the 51 fake signatures on Trump? Should we just all forget about what they did with the election interference? We caught them. We know. Zuckerberg just said they influenced everything from the media on. These people, you people really believe Joe Biden from the basement got more black votes than Obama did? Somebody really believe that? This is how stupid they think we are. The fight with fentanyl isn't over yet. It just started. And thank God we have a president. And for everybody that doesn't show respect for our flag, you shouldn't be in this country. And anybody that doesn't love our president, that takes you first and believes in you first, believes in second chances, I'm a prime example. They give us a second chance in life. Use it, take it. Enjoy your lives, the freedom, the love for this country, the ability to be able to make serious money in this country the right way. And salute our president. Because we'll never see somebody in this ever that's sacrificed their life like this man has and his family has. Like I said, they try to jail him. They lied about him. They try to embarrass him. They try to ruin his marriage. They try to kill him. They try to break him financially. They've done everything to him, to General Flynn, to Pete Navarro, jailed these guys. It's incredible what they've done. Using and weaponization of, I got to tell you, I want to use every curse word, every profanity against the leadership from the FBI to the CIA. So many people have died for this country, sacrificing for the love of this country. Our veterans, and you left them homeless, 50,000 of them. And you took guys from prisons and jails all over the world and you stuck them in first-class hotels. You got to be kidding me. Out of disgrace to what you did to our military. And you fired people and you made them lose their jobs and their families and you destroyed them. People committing suicide, their kids out on the street because their fathers didn't have jobs anymore after they sacrificed as first responders. As they sacrificed and you dishonorably discharged them, thank God the president's back with their back pay, reinstated them, our police forces, our emergency responders, our firemen. The disgrace that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Mayorkas, for history, they should be known as a disgrace of America. Thank you, everybody. Subscribe to my channel. Watch me. and write in comments. God bless America and our president. Thank you.